All right, and here we go. It is Wednesday. I think it's the 14th of October. And welcome to Dreadnought Woodshop. Actually, let me check that date. Yeah, it is Wednesday, October 14th, 2020. It's been a long year, but we're getting through it. Anyway, welcome to Dreadnought Woodshop. If you've been here before, you know the drill. I'm going to be I do a Wednesday live every week. And this week, well, the past couple of weeks, I've been making a segmented vessel. So far, we've cut all our segments and glued up all our rings, flattened them, and glued them up into basically sub-assemblies. So what I have is this is the bottom half here, and I worked on that in the last video. I put a plug in the bottom here, and I glued all these rings up. I almost feel like this one right here is not necessary, but we'll see how that goes as the process goes. But as you can see, we got that. And then I spared you guys the boredom of watching me glue up the other half. And this is the top portion here with the feature ring on it. And when they both go together, you end up with something like that. And having two chucks there make it pretty heavy, but we're gonna be getting this thing, moving this thing further along. So basically, what we're gonna do today is we're gonna take these two halves and we're gonna work on the inside. Although I do like, it's pretty exciting to work on the outside because then you get an idea of what your piece is gonna look like. At this point, it doesn't really matter. The main thing is you want to turn the insides while you have easy access to them. And right now, I have very good access because, hold on, I'm trying to change something on this screen here. All right. And at this point, I have very good access because these are basically two bowls versus having to do it as a hollow form. So that's what we're going to be working on. Now, I did go back and cut some of these rings in half, roughly in half, because I felt like there was too much material from the feature ring to the top. You know, this is just the way that I go about doing these segmented pieces, and there's lots of other ways to do it. You can make a very detailed plan and have everything go to that plan, but I don't really go that route. I kind of like wing it, so this is where I'm at. So I added this half ring here on the bottom, mostly because I just felt like there was too great a change in diameters from this bottom, this piece of maple that was the bottom of the top to the top of the base. So I got all that done, got all that glued up, and when you're doing these segmented pieces, looking at the inside's kind of cool. You get some pretty interesting textures and different things. So I always take a couple pictures in there before I get started with it. But anyway, so what we're going to do today is like I said, we're going to clean up the insides, and I'm going to show you how. For some reason, when I do this, sometimes the two top rims, they end up not being perfectly flat. So I'm going to show you how I address that. And like I said, we're going to clean out the inside. I think I'm repeating myself a little bit today. Sorry about that. It's been a long day, and I might be still a little bit tired from traveling over the weekend. But anyway, so let's go ahead and get this on the lathe, and we're going to start talking about the tools that we're going to use we're going to talk about some of the tools and processes we're going to use to turn the inside. So let's get that on. Let's put one of these away and get started. So I'm going to start with the top piece, just because the access is much easier, because it's not very deep, and it's not very deep, and the end of it's open right now. So, oops. So that's going to make it real easy to work with, and I'm going to be using a bowl gouge for this. which is actually my tool of choice for this part of it. I don't know that I'll be able to use it for the bottom, but we're gonna see how that goes. I'm actually making 2 of these at one time. One of them is just so that I can work out any potential problems that I might have before I do the live videos. So let's see, let's adjust this down just a little bit. A little too much. Sorry about that. There's a little delay. I push the camera around and then I got to give it a second for it to adjust. All right. So we got it on the lathe and we're ready to go. So grab my 1/2 inch bowl gouge here, and I'm going to use a little bit of light here to get started. How you doing, Hodgepodge and Bobby Fowler? Welcome. Welcome to the Wednesday Night Live at Dreadnought Woodshop. Alright. So basically what I'm going to be doing is I'm just going to be cutting. So what I want to do first is I want to get rid of all the excess material so that I can see what kind of thickness I'm going to have to work with. So I'm going to take out all these little spaces inside here and all these faceted corners, and that's really my main goal at this point. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that now, and then yeah, keep moving. So we're clear on the rest. And I thought sure my lathe would have been fixed by now, but the service guy had some kind of issue. He had some kind of issue. He was supposed to come out on Monday, but he had some kind of issue and couldn't make it. So we rescheduled for Saturday. So hopefully next week my lathe won't be clicking. That would be awesome. I thought I did a better job centering that up, but I guess that's what we're going to be dealing with. All right. Welcome, Al. I'm pretty excited too. I'm really anxious to see what my feature ring pattern is going to look like. Make sure we're cutting where I want to be cutting, and here we go. Like I said, at this point, the main focus is just to get down to just to get rid of all these facets inside here and see what kind of wall thickness I have to work with. Now, this one I actually have, if you look at the screen, if you look at the little window showing the top-down view, this one actually, the curve goes up to the feature ring and then it starts to curve down from the feature ring. So I'm going to be cutting a curve very similar to that, trying to, on the backside, because this feature ring is actually, they're all the same size, but because it's bigger, it doesn't extend all the way out to the bottom of these two. Let me see if I can change the view of this camera, because I'm going to end up with my shoulder in the way. See if I can get it to go up any higher. No, not really. All right, hopefully that'll help a little bit. All right, so there's a lot of noise because I got these pieces of walnut sticking out. So now you could, if you have carbide tools, you could easily use carbide tools to do this just as well as you can a bowl gouge. Um, if you're kind of new to wood turning, it would probably be a little easier because, well, it'd probably be a little easier than this if you were doing it and not recording it. So trying to stay out of the shot there, but we'll just keep on going. Okay, so right underneath this, let's see, right underneath this top face in the bottom here, I don't really need to worry about that too much. I'll be able to get that with the hook tools. Once I'll be able to get that with the hook with a hollowing tool like on a swan neck. Once I have the outside shape, and then that way I don't cut away extra material, you know, and kind of predestine my shape. So in order to keep as many options as possible, I'm not gonna touch that right now. I'm just mostly gonna try to get all this straightened out. But I got a couple of little spots in here. See if I can. That might show it better. I don't know. Oops, wrong direction. Sorry about that. Getting used to this zoom thing. Ooh, that's not great. Okay. So you can probably see that there's a couple of spots in here where, let's see, where are they? Right in here where I don't have quite enough. I haven't cleared out quite enough. So I'm gonna go back in there and clean those up a little bit. And then there's a couple of spots up here, and go ahead and clean those up as well. I think that's going to get it. Alright, so we still got plenty of wall thickness all the way around, so I'm going to go ahead and check this one more time, see if I need to make any adjustments with the cutting. See, still got a couple of little low spots, but I'm not sure if I'm not sure how much more I'm going to cut off trying to get rid of that, but I got plenty of room as well. Sorry about that. Alright, we're good now. So this is an ideal time to sand and finish the inside of your piece if you're gonna put finish on there. If you're gonna finish the inside of your vessel, this is the time to do it. So get all that out of there. Bit of compressor. All right. And there's our pattern right there. You can see it on the inside. Hey Steve, how's it going? All right. So that takes care of that. So I'm going to take this off the lathe right now and go ahead and start working on the bottom, because the bottom's a little deeper, so I'm going to have to use a few other tricks to reach down in there. I want to make sure I cover that. Worst case scenario, I'll have to show you how I sand these, and then sand the inside later, and sand and finish the inside later. So let me get this off of here, and then we'll get the other half on, and we'll see how that goes. So like I said, I'm making two of these. I'm making two of these segmented vessels that are relatively the same. The other one, I'm using it to make sure that I don't have problems with the live version. And when I was turning it, I had a little bit of difficulty getting down to the bottom of the, let's see here, let me zoom out a little bit more so you can see what's happening here. So I was having a little bit of trouble getting to the, all the way down to the bottom. So I had to use a couple of different tools. I can't say that I'm 100% happy with the method I chose that I ended up landing on. So there's going to be a little bit of experimenting today to find the tool that I think is best suited for this. Okay. So I'm going to start off using the bowl gouge, and I'm going to try to clean up a little bit of this as far as I can get down in there before I switch to something else. Now, one awesome thing about turning segmented forms is that it's all side grain. There's no in grain in here to cause problems when you're cutting. So I think what I decided I'm going to do is I'm going to use a brand new tool that I got just recently. Hang tight, I'll be right back. This is the Hollower, the Pro Hollower #1 from Easywood Tools. I got to use it the first time today. I gotta say I'm pretty impressed. It's a pretty heavy duty bar. I like the fact that it's the other one has a flat, the bar is wider than it is thick. This one is thicker than it is wide, and it's got a pretty good reach on the side here. If you've ever used the #1 Hollower in the mid-size series, the overhang is very short, but because this bar is turned this way, you can the overhang is pretty generous. So it's the same thing as always. You set it at center height, and cut parallel to the floor. So this has the #3 cutter on it. This is not a in a negative rake. This is just a standard carbide cutter. So I'm going to use this, and I'm just going to slide down here and cut all these shoulders off, and start to shape the inside of the bottom of this segmented piece here. Okay, Larry. Yeah, I could do that. Let me see. Let's do it this way. I don't know if this is going to be better or not, but we'll see. All right, Larry, hopefully that's better. Let's see. Yeah, I think so. All right, so we're going to go in here, and this tool is super long, which, you know, in this view, you can't see it. Actually, let me switch to a different one, and then, okay. So this is the tool here. It's pretty big. So I'm going to have a lot of area for leverage, for holding on to it, and also for anchoring the tool to my body. So anyway, let's get back to it. All right. So like I said, it's going to be cutting at center, level to the floor, anchored to the tool rest. I'm going to anchor the tool to my body and keep pressure here on the tool rest, and then just take it easy and just go on in.
pretty close to where I want to be there.
I got it. So the one thing I do notice about this is that you do want to make sure that you're bracing it when you're doing this, and you're that far out over the rest. You want to make sure that you're bracing the tool against your body, and also you want to take light with these faceted surfaces. You want to take light cuts at first, because with that carbide cutter hanging out like that on the sides of the tool, you got a pretty good amount of it hanging out the sides there. It tends to be a little grabby, and the bar, you know, I love the fact that the bar is thicker than it is wide for stability's sake, and for durability, and for being able to reach farther out over the rest. But it can be a little tippy. So when you're working that far out on an inconsistent surface like these faceted rings, you want to take light cuts, and once you get it smooth, then you can go a little bit, you could be a little bit more aggressive with it. See right there, it could be a little grabby. All right. Okay, so we're getting there. Now the other thing I've noticed about this, which is not really a design flaw of the tool, but when you're using the round cutters, it can be difficult to get a smooth surface. You have a lot of ridges and things. So I'm going to switch to a modified scraper when I get past this part here. But what I'm trying to do now is I'm just trying to get rid of the little empty spaces where the inside facets are not terribly even on this one, because I didn't bother to square this material up. I just basically cut a rough sawn board that I had. I cut it down to I think it was an inch, a little over an inch wide strips, and then I just cut all the segments. And I didn't bother to square it up or anything, so the insides of these rings are fairly inconsistent. So basically I'm trying to, cut that out. Plus, I don't think I probably could have took a little bit more time centering the rings as I built the blank, but it's all good. It just takes a few more minutes to get it where I want it. Alright, I got just a little bit still to go on this side over here. Feel like it might be getting a little thin. Maybe a little bit of too much of a jump there, but we'll see. So I'm going to do a little bit more right there, and then I'm going to switch to a different tool so that I can get to the, so that I can start to fair this out, because as I run my hands down here, there's a lot of ridges in there. That's just due to the fact that it's a round cutter, and these round cutters tend to, you know, they dig in as you come down, as you're cutting. Starting to get a little concerned about this one spot, so I'm going to use some calipers. I'm going to use these calipers to check and see where I'm at thickness wise. Looks like I was worried for nothing. Got plenty of thickness. It just felt like it was getting a little thin, so that's good. Check right here. Oh yeah, got plenty of thickness there. Alright, so I can go back in there and finish that off. So, I was talking about the fact that the round cutters leave a rich surface. So, what I'm going to use to fix it, I'm going to switch back to this other tool, camera, so I can show you guys something. So, this is the Robert Sorby Turnmaster, right? And it looks a lot like a carbide tool, except for this knuckle here. So what this knuckle does actually is, let me switch it to a regular cutter and then we'll talk about it. So I just go to one of these round cutters. So I could have did that previous step with this tool too, but I just wanted to give the Pro Hollower a little road test there. So, but anyway, this is the Turnmaster, like I said, and it does have this knuckle here, and lots of people, you know, wonder what that is. And what that actually does is, one, it allows you to exchange these tips out, and two, there's three little indents right here, and what you can do with that is the same way that you know, the common belief is that if you turn your tools 45 degrees, you can get a skew cut or a shear cut out of these insert tools. So what you can do is you can lift it and rotate it and set it into that one of those other two indents, and that's going to give you 45 degrees to the right and to the left. And you're going to be able to utilize that angle while referencing off this flat surface back here. So that's just one thing. Now, the other thing about this is these cutters are actually not carbide. These cutters are actually high-speed steel. These are the ones that I prefer to use. The steel gets to a sharper edge than carbide. That's just simple metallurgy due to the size of the metal molecules. And they're easy to sharpen. You just put them on a diamond stone, sharpen them up. And the other thing, and this is the last thing I'm going to share with you because you didn't come here for a sales pitch, but this tool actually, if you look at the design of the head, this head holds all the different cutters for this tool. So you can see the little V shape in the back to hold the diamonds. This is holding a round tool, or a round cutter right now, and those clip corners right there allow it to hold the square as well. And so you can buy this one tool with the square, diamond, and round cutters, usually for about $150, which is, I think it's a pretty good deal. And like I said, you can just exchange these out. Now you can also buy these tips instead of buying extra bars, and the tips run about $35. But anyway, there's a number of cutters that are available for it, including this one, which is called the mushroom cutter, and this one allows you to do a little bit of hollowing. So you can rotate this tip around on the head, and you can use it to get in and do your closed forms and hollow forms. Now the tip that I'm actually going to be using with this today is this, well, basically all these cutters are scrapers, but this one kind of acts like a rounded scraper or a bowl scraper, and it's got this curve on the side. And the nice thing about this is I can rotate this around the head of the tool to get the cutter exactly where I want it. Because in this case, I want to kind of follow up the side, which would put this in the way if that was straight. So I just rotate it out a little bit, and that's going to let me get in here and do what I need to do. And this long curve here is going to help me to fair out the sides and get rid of those ridges in the base of my hollow form. So let me show you how that's done. All right. So so I have the tool in here, and I can rotate this anywhere I want. So if I wanted to use the smaller, curves on the end of the tool, I can rotate it around so that I'm presenting that side. But I want to fair the walls and get them straight, because right now I don't know if that translates on camera, but it's fairly wavy as I go down the side walls of this vessel. So I'm going to use this to fair it out, and it does a really super job at doing that. Let's come in here. Now the one thing about this tool, obviously, is because it has this this knuckle right here, you're going to be further back from the rest than you normally would. Normally, with a regular carbide tool or insert tool, whichever way you want to call it, you would be able to get the tool closer. But because you have this knuckle here and also this little, I don't know, fillet, whatever you want to call that thing, you'll have to be further back. That's not really a problem because this is a very sturdy bar, so you can overhang it without worrying about it bending. The tool also comes unhandled, so if this form was any bigger, I would put this in one of the interchangeable handles that I have that's longer than this handle to give me more leverage. I had a few places in there where it wasn't quite flat yet, but now I've gotten rid of a lot of those ridges in the back. Still got a little bit of work to do, but this does a phenomenal job doing that. Alright, so I got that pretty close to where I want to be. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you. I'll switch to the top camera so you can see. I don't know how this happens, but it seems it happens from time to time. These the rings don't end up actually flat somehow. Probably something that I did, but regardless, I haven't really figured out why yet, but that's how they always seem to turn out. Okay. So let me grab the top piece, show you what I mean. So it looks like it fits pretty good, but I can I can wobble it a little bit because it's just a little bit off a flat. So I definitely, let's see, I definitely want that to sit flat. Oh, here we go, better one. I definitely want that to be flat when I glue the two halves together. So what I'm going to do is, what I do with that thing? Right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark this, ring up pretty good with a pencil. You want to make sure you mark it up really well from the inside edge to the outside edge. However you want to do it. You can do hash marks, you can do circles, squiggles, whatever you want. But you want to get a good amount of coverage to make sure you know when you got it flat. Alright, so I'm going to do that. Okay. And then I keep this this round, this is basically just a disc of MDF, because MDF is a material that stays relatively flat. So I'm going to use that as a platen, and then I'm going to put some of this 3M sandpaper with the non-slip back on it. And basically, I mean, you could glue this together. I never do. I just kind of hold it. And because this is flat, I'm going to hold this, turn the lathe on a low speed and hold it here. And then that's going to get me, that's subsequently going to sand this flat. And when I get rid of all this pencil mark, when I get rid of all the pencil marks, then it should be fairly flat. Definitely flat enough for my glue up. So this is a good time for a dust mask, so let me go do that. Hopefully it won't affect my speaking quality too much, but gotta protect the lungs. Alright, so I'm not quite there yet. I got a little bit of pencil marks here. It looks like I got most of it off, so looks like this little area right here was the problem child all along. As you can see, this works pretty quickly. You can also use this to flatten your rings in the case that you don't have a drum sander. So you can glue your rings on, flatten one side, glue them on, and then you can do the pencil trick with the sandpaper, and you can flatten the other side before you glue the next ring on. Alright, let's take a look and see where we're at. Alright, that looks good. Whew. I need to get, I made a purchase a couple weeks ago, a little dust collector for the wood turning area. I just haven't had time to set it up yet. I might need to prioritize that. This dust is something serious. And then I'm going to do the exact same thing with the top. You want to make sure when you're putting these marks on here that you have marks that go all the way to the inside ring, the inner side of the ring, and the outer side of the ring, to make sure it's flat all the way across the face of your piece. Okay. Alright. So let's get this on the lathe. Now I know that everybody doesn't have I know everybody doesn't have I don't know that everybody doesn't have the luxury of having multiple chucks to work on this, but for the purposes of sharing this in over a live video, it is very helpful. But what I would suggest is work on the top half first. So you would mount it up, hollow out the back, sand it, do whatever you're going to do, and then go ahead and flatten this bottom edge here so that when you take it off the chuck, you don't need to put it back. You can just, once you take it off of the chuck, then when you glue it back on, then the next time you go to use it, you'll be gluing it on, so you'll be good. And then don't take the bottom piece out until you're done, until you're finished. So anyway, let's get this other half done, and I'll show you how. I'm not going to glue them together yet because I still got more work to do, but I'll show you how I go about doing that. Because hopefully I'll have that done before next week. All right, let's take a look and see what we got. All right, so we're good. All right, that took care of that half. So now, when I put it together, see, there's no wobble anymore. So, mission accomplished. And that was done real basic. Just a MDF circle, a little bit bigger than your piece, and a piece of, this is 100 grit sandpaper. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Okay. So then, let's talk about how I'm going to glue this thing up, even though, like I said, I'm not going to do it right now because I still need to sand the inside and all that, and pretty sure nobody wants to watch that. Alright, let me do this. Oops, wrong direction. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is take my live center out. You may have seen me do this before. This is the Nova Live Center system, and the chuck adapter for the tailstock, and I just put those two together so that I get a live reverse chuck mount. So just go ahead and put that on, and then I'll add my bottom half on the chuck. Alright, I'm going to let the lathe do the centering work for me. And then, so at this point, what I would do is, I would just go ahead and I put glue on these surfaces here, and then I bring it up with the tailstock and line it up. Now, that didn't seem to line up that well, but that's okay, because what I'm looking for is I want these two pieces to line up from this inside diameter, not the outside. So when you put them together, if it doesn't go together exactly like you thought it would, don't worry, because we're really referencing off the inside, not necessarily the outside. But then I'll just go ahead and I'll clamp this on just like so. Now, if you didn't have this set up with the live center and the mount for your chuck, or two chucks or whatever, then what you would do is you would have the bottom piece in the chuck, and then you just bring up your top piece and you just take your time and center it up. And then you also want to make sure that if you're staggering your seams like I am, you want to make sure that you pay attention to that, because I've done that this whole, ooh, I think I missed one. I did. Huh. Anyway, I missed this one. It wasn't, this is the one that's not lined up, but everything else is lined up pretty true. But anyway, that's probably going to be one of them details that I'm going to stress about. Nobody else cares. So anyway, that's where we're at for this exciting episode of the segmented vessel journey. So what I'm going to be doing next is I'm going to finish cleaning up the inside of this vessel, of the vessel, and I'll probably put a little finish on there, and then I'm going to glue the two halves together so that I can turn the outside, because that is the exciting part, because then we're going to get to see exactly what this thing looks like. Right. Hey Cammy, how's it going? So anyway, that's where we're at for now. And I'm finishing up almost on time today. How about that? A few minutes early, actually. So I do want to say a couple of things before I hop off of here. I'm actually going to be participating in an event at Klingspor in Hickory, North Carolina. I believe that's gonna be the weekend of the 31st. I think I'll be there the 29th, 30th, and 31st. So if you're in that area, feel free to come out and check me out. I'll be doing demos for Robert Sorby Tools, and let's see what else. Also, I'd really like to get my subscriber numbers up on YouTube. So if you haven't already subscribed, please do that. That would help me out tremendously. Also, be sure to share the videos with other people that you think would be interested, and also, if you could, encourage them to subscribe as well, because the better I do on this, the more often I'll be able to do these things. And I do have plans to at some point do the demoing and the teaching, as my only gig instead of my side gig. So if you guys could do that, that would help me out tremendously. On YouTube, Instagram, wherever it is that you consume my content, be sure that you subscribe or follow or like and comment and all those things. So anyway, done with that. So I guess this is the place where I thank you for joining me in the shop. And I look forward to seeing you all next week. And I'm thinking that might actually be the conclusion for this project. I did have some thoughts about putting a lid on it, but I don't know how I feel about that right now. And I'm going to kind of reserve judgment until I see how it turns out. And I might even I'll probably seek the audience's opinion on that as well. So anyway. Thank you guys. Thanks everyone for joining me in the shop today. And remember, be safe in your shops. Get out there and dread not and make something